Alright, we need to talk. Because right now, the discourse around Caitlin Clark and her future is hitting a whole new level of irresponsible. And it's time to shut it down with the actual facts. You've seen the headline. You've probably had it screamed at you by the algorithm. It's the take that's been bubbling on certain corners of sports talk Twitter and sneaking into hot take segments. The idea that Caitlin Clark is already done with the WNBA, that she's so frustrated with the physical play and the media circus that she's planning her exit strategy, maybe even eyeing a premature jump to free agency to force a trade out of Indiana. The narrative is everywhere. It's in the cryptic, clipped videos of hard fouls set to dramatic music. It's in the body language experts dissecting her every glance on the bench. It's in the thinly veiled suggestions from certain analysts that the league wasn't ready for her star power and that she's being unfairly targeted. The overall vibe they're selling? That Caitlin Clark is miserable, checked out, and looking for the first ticket out of town. Let's establish the facts here. Because there's just one massive problem with this entire fictional storyline: the concrete, contractual, and publicly stated timeline. Caitlin Clark was the first overall pick in the 2024 WNBA draft. She signed her rookie-scale contract with the Indiana Fever. That contract, under the league's collective bargaining agreement, is for 4 years. The first 2 years are guaranteed. She cannot be an unrestricted free agent until after the 2027 season. There is no opt-out. There is no early exit clause because you're having a tough rookie year. This isn't speculation. This is the rule book. So, when these talking heads float this "she's done" narrative, they are, by definition, fabricating a drama that has no mechanism to exist for years. They are ignoring the foundational facts of how the league operates just to stir up engagement. But here's where it gets even more damning for the lie peddlers. Because while they were busy constructing this fictional exit narrative, Caitlin Clark wasn't just sitting in silence. She was asked about it, directly. And her response didn't just clarify the situation, it completely obliterated the premise. So let's get into the evidence. The primary source material that dismantles this entire house of cards. This isn't coming from some unnamed source close to Caitlin. This is coming straight from the rookie herself. The moment happened in a post-game press conference following a tough Fever loss earlier this month. A reporter, likely hearing the same murmurs we all are, didn't ask about the game's final play. Instead, they went for the big dramatic question about her future. Paraphrasing, they asked something along the lines of, "With all the attention and the physical play, how are you processing this season, and what does your future look like in Indiana?" Now watch this. This is the key. Caitlin didn't scoff. She didn't give a vague politician's answer. She leaned into the mic and delivered a point-blank, no-nonsense rebuttal. Her first sentence set the tone: "I'm a competitor. I hate losing more than anything." Right away, she frames her frustration not as a desire to leave, but as a burning desire to win. She's angry at the losses, not the location. Then she got specific about the narrative. "I see the stuff," she said, acknowledging the noise. "People saying I want out or that this isn't what I expected. The physicality? I expected that. This is the best league in the world. I knew it wouldn't be easy." With that, she directly neutralizes the core argument of the "she's done" crowd, that she's somehow shocked or offended by the league's intensity. She called it a known variable. But the knockout punch came next. She addressed her commitment to Indiana. "I'm here to build something in Indiana. That's why they drafted me. We have a young core and it's going to take time and work. I'm invested in that process. I want to be part of turning this franchise around." Read that again. "I'm here to build something. I'm invested in that process." This is not the language of a player plotting an escape. This is the language of a foundational piece accepting the challenge. She didn't just say she's playing for the Fever, she said she's there to build. That's a legacy statement. Finally, she ended with a glimpse into her real mindset. "My focus isn't on years down the road. It's on getting better tomorrow so we can win the next game." She redirected the conversation from a fake, long-term soap opera back to the immediate, gritty reality of a WNBA season. The press conference moved on to basketball questions. But the message was set. So let's ask the billion-click question: why? If the facts are so clear and the player herself has publicly, explicitly shut it down, why is this narrative not just lingering, but actively being pumped out by certain voices in the media machine? We need to analyze the motive. And it's not complicated, but it's corrosive. First and foremost, the incentive for outrage. In today's digital sports landscape, calm, nuanced analysis doesn't trend. It doesn't generate the explosive engagement that pays the bills. A headline that says Caitlin Clark working through rookie challenges is accurate, but boring. A headline that screams, "Clark wants out. Fever disaster," is a lie, but it's a firecracker. It triggers panic, anger, debate, and most importantly, clicks. For some analysts and content aggregators, truth is a secondary concern to traffic. They are not in the business of reporting. They are in the business of reaction farming. Second, the lazy framework of savior versus system. It's a tired, recycled script. The transcendent superstar enters a struggling institution, faces adversity, and is ultimately let down by it. It's a compelling story arc. But it's a movie plot, not sports journalism. Forcing Clark into this misunderstood star versus the jealous WNBA framework is intellectually lazy. It ignores the reality of team building, the history of every great player's rookie struggles, and reduces the entire competitive 12-team league to a villain in her story. It's easier to peddle this simple fiction than to discuss complex roster construction or defensive schemes. Third, and this is key, a lack of WNBA-specific knowledge. Many of the loudest voices pushing this are general sports hot take artists who specialize in NFL quarterback drama or NBA trade demands. They see a star, they see losses, and they apply the only script they know. Star gets mad, star demands trade. They don't understand or can't be bothered to learn the WNBA's contract rules, its culture of player commitment, or its historical precedent where even the biggest stars rarely force their way out via public demand. They're applying an NBA playbook to a completely different league. Finally, there's a perverse projection of their own impatience. Some in the media built up Caitlin Clark as a mythical force who would instantly transform a 13-win team into a title contender. When that predictably didn't happen in 20 games, their own unrealistic narrative collapsed. Instead of admitting they set an impossible standard, it's easier to pivot to, well, she must be furious about it too. She must want to leave. They are projecting their own failed expectations onto her, and spinning a new drama from the ashes of their old, flawed one. To really drive a stake through the heart of this vampire narrative, we have to zoom all the way out to the cold, hard, unemotional infrastructure of the league. We're talking schedules, calendars, and legal documents. The stuff that doesn't care about hot takes or viral tweets. Let's talk about the WNBA calendar, because it's the ultimate truth teller. The WNBA season operates on a tight, predictable cycle. Training camp in April/May. A 40-game regular season from May to September. The playoffs conclude by early October. Then the off-season. For players not going overseas, that off-season is for rest, recovery, and individual skill work. There is no mid-season free agency period. There is no trade deadline loophole that allows a rookie to renegotiate her contract. The only period for major player movement is a window around February, leading into the new season. And as we established, Caitlin Clark is not eligible for any of that for years. So any suggestion of an imminent exit is literally not on the calendar. It is a fictional event in a non-existent timeline. Now let's get into the CBA nuts and bolts. Caitlin Clark signed a 4-year rookie scale contract. Here's what that actually means stripped of all drama. Years 1 and 2, 2024, 2025 fully guaranteed. The Indiana Fever have her rights, period. She cannot be waived and she cannot unilaterally leave. Year 3, 2026 team option. The Fever will, without a shadow of a doubt, pick this up. It's a formality. Year 4, 2027 team option. Again, an absolute lock to be picked up. After year 4, she becomes a restricted free agent. Indiana can match any offer sheet she signs with another team, giving them ultimate control. True unrestricted free agency does not arrive until after the 2028 season. Let that timeline sink in. We are discussing a hypothetical media-generated exit that, at the very earliest, could not even begin to be negotiated for over 3 more full WNBA seasons. That's over 120 regular season games, multiple off-seasons, and potentially playoff runs from now. This is the irrefutable proof. When you hear someone say Clark might be on the move, you can immediately know they are either ignorant of these basic facts or are willfully ignoring them to scare you. The WNBA, unlike some other leagues, is built on contractual stability, especially for its top draft picks. The system is designed to allow franchises to build around young stars, not to have them ripped away after a few months of rookie struggles. The schedule says she's in Indiana. The contract says she's in Indiana. Every single operational rule of the league confirms it. Now let's move from the legal framework to the personal one. Let's talk about legacy. Because to believe this "she's done" narrative, you don't just have to ignore contracts and calendars, You have to fundamentally misunderstand Caitlin Clark's competitive DNA and what she has repeatedly said she wants her career to be. This is a player whose entire life has been built on a public, documented obsession with winning at the highest level possible. Not just scoring points, not just selling jerseys, winning championships. Think about her college decision. She didn't go to a legacy program already stacked with titles. She went to Iowa, a very good program, and said, "I will build us into a national contender." And she did. She turned Iowa into a destination, into a two-time national runner-up, because she wanted the challenge of elevating a program. Does that sound like someone who runs from a building project at the first sign of difficulty? Or does it sound like someone who is intrinsically motivated by that exact challenge? Now, listen to her own words about the WNBA and her professional goals. In countless pre-draft interviews, she didn't talk about markets or brand size first. She talked about wanting to go to a team that believes in me and wants to win. She talked about competing for championships. Indiana, with its young core of Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and now Clark, represents a multi-year project with a championship ceiling. That's the appeal. It's not the easy path, it's the legacy path. Skipping town as a rookie wouldn't just be contractually impossible, it would be a catastrophic brand and legacy decision. Caitlin Clark is savvy. She understands that her icon status will be cemented by rings and resilience, not by forcing a trade from a team that's struggling to integrate its pieces. The story of the rookie who stuck it out and built a dynasty is 1,000 times more powerful than the rookie who demanded a trade. Which one do you think Nike, Gatorade, and all her partners would rather align with? The fighter or the flight risk? Furthermore, her expressed desire to play for the USA women's national team is a huge clue. That program, under Cheryl Reeve and the selection committee, values team builders, system players, and winners who buy into a collective mission above individual stat lines. What message does a phantom trade demand send to that committee? It screams me first, not team first. Clark's stated Olympic dreams are another reason this narrative makes zero sense. It paints her as the opposite of the player USA basketball covets. Her legacy goal is clear: to be an all-time great who changed the game and won at the highest level. Walking away from the franchise that drafted her to build around her is the antithesis of that goal. It would rewrite her story from architect to mercenary, and everything we know about her suggests she's playing the long game for history. If you still have any doubt that this entire narrative is a fabricated storm in a teacup, let's look back at the history books. Let's see how the true legends of this league, the icons who built the WNBA, handled their early careers, adversity, and the relationship between star power and team building. Let's talk about Diana Taurasi, the GOAT. She was drafted first overall in 2004 by the Phoenix Mercury, a superstar from day one. But the Mercury in her first few seasons? They were a work in progress. They went 17-17 her rookie year, missed the playoffs in her second year. Did the Taurasi wants out headlines start flying? No. She dug in. She, along with the franchise, built a culture. The result? 3 WNBA championships for Phoenix, with Taurasi as the undeniable cornerstone. The idea of her demanding a trade in 2005 is laughable in hindsight, because we now see the arc of a legacy. Let's talk about Sue Bird. Drafted first overall in 2002 by the Seattle Storm. The Storm won 17 games her rookie year. They were competitive but not immediate champions. It took time. It took drafting Lauren Jackson, building chemistry, and growing together. Sue Bird's entire legendary career, all 21 seasons, all 4 titles, was spent with the one franchise that drafted her. She is the epitome of franchise player loyalty. Even look at a more recent example, Aya Wilson. Drafted first overall by the Las Vegas Aces in 2018. The Aces were a rebuilding team that had just relocated. They went 14-20 her rookie year. The process wasn't instant. But she stayed, the franchise built around her, and now they're a dynasty. She weathered the storm and is now reaping the historic rewards. The pattern is undeniable. The WNBA's greatest legacies are almost always built on stability and the marriage of a transcendent talent to a single franchise. The league's structure and culture have historically discouraged superstar free agency carousels. Players of Clark's caliber are drafted to be faces of the franchise for a decade or more. Now, compare that history to the current noise. The narrative being pushed about Caitlin Clark, that she should be unhappy, that she should want to leave after 20 games, is imported from a different sports playbook. It's an NBA-style, superstar-driven, trade demand drama that has rarely been the WNBA's story. It shows a fundamental lack of respect for and understanding of the league's own history and how its legends have actually operated. This historical precedent isn't just a suggestion, it's evidence. It shows that the path Clark is on, the rookie struggles, the public pressure, the long-term building project, isn't an anomaly. It's the proving ground. It's what Taurasi, Bird, and Wilson went through. To suggest she should or would abandon that path is to argue against the very blueprint that created the icon she's chasing. We need to widen the lens even further because this fake drama doesn't just affect how we view Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. It tangentially pollutes the conversation around the future of the most dominant force in women's sports, Team USA. Caitlin Clark is, barring something unforeseen, the next face of USA basketball. She's the bridge from the Sue Bird Diana Taurasi era to the next generation. Her combination of shooting, passing, and cultural cachet is seen as vital for maintaining global dominance and domestic interest through the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics and beyond. So, what does this manufactured "she wants out" narrative do to that perception? It creates a false, toxic cloud around her professionalism and commitment. Think about the intangibles that USA basketball head coach Cheryl Reeve and the selection committee value. They don't just pick the 12 most talented players. They pick 12 players who can subsume their ego for the flag, who can handle intense scrutiny, who can be reliable teammates under immense pressure. They need players who are rock solid, both on the court and in the locker room. Now, imagine you're on that committee, and your social media feed is bombarded with hysterical headlines suggesting your presumed future franchise player is already unhappy, plotting exits, and at the center of non-stop media firestorms of her own league's making. Even if you know 90% of it is garbage, it creates noise. It introduces a phantom question of drama where none exists in reality. It unfairly paints Clark as a potential distraction, rather than the galvanizing force she actually is. Furthermore, this narrative hurts the synergy between the WNBA and Team USA. The health of the national team is directly tied to the health and stability of the league. When hot take artists portray the WNBA as a toxic or unworthy place for its biggest star, they are indirectly undermining the very ecosystem that develops players for Team USA. They're pushing a story that the league is a problem to be escaped from, rather than the premier proving ground that prepares athletes for international glory. Clark's seamless integration into the national team program is crucial for the 2028 Olympics, which is being billed as a massive, mainstream moment for women's basketball on home soil. She needs to be focused on developing her game and building chemistry with peers like Aya Wilson and Breanna Stewart, not constantly having to bat down fabricated stories about her loyalty. This fake narrative isn't just a lie about free agency. It's a subtle piece of sabotage against the broader narrative of women's basketball's bright future. It tries to insert dysfunction and instability into a player and a system that are, in reality, squarely focused on long-term domination. For Team USA's future, they need Caitlin Clark focused on basketball, not forced to be a full-time mythbuster. So, while the hot take industrial complex is busy spinning its fictional yarns, let's check the pulse of the people who actually matter. The real WNBA fans, the Indiana Fever faithful, and the basketball community that follows this day in, day out. Because their reaction to this "she's done" lie tells you everything you need to know. Go on to serious WNBA forums, team-specific subreddits, or the timelines of knowledgeable analysts. You're not seeing panic. You're not seeing calls for a trade. You're seeing exasperation. You're seeing fans and commentators armed with the exact same facts we've laid out, the contract, the quotes, the history, using them to swat down these lazy narratives like annoying flies. The dominant sentiment among the informed crowd isn't, "Oh no, she's leaving." It's, "Can we please talk about basketball?" They're frustrated that the conversation around their team and their rookie is being hijacked by people who don't understand the league's rules. They want to discuss Nalissa Smith's rebounding, Aaliyah Boston's paint presence, and how the Fever's defense can improve, not engage with a fictional soap opera. Look at the social media reaction from Indiana Fever fans. They're posting clips of Clark's chemistry with her teammates on the bench, her diving for loose balls, her working late after practice. They're highlighting the evidence of investment, not extraction. They see a player who is visibly frustrated with losses, which they love, not a player checked out and dreaming of another city. Even the broader WNBA fanbase is largely unified here. There's a recognition that this type of drama for clicks is bad for the sport. It turns nuanced team building into WWE-style storylines. Many are actively defending Clark from this narrative, pointing out that it's disrespectful to her competitive nature to assume she'd quit, and disrespectful to the Fever organization to suggest it's somehow failing her 2 months into her career. The most telling reactions come from former players and current veterans. You'll see them subtly or not so subtly calling out the nonsense. A retired player might tweet, "Rookie years are tough. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Everyone just breathe." A current veteran might say in an interview, "The outside noise is always wrong. We know what's real in this locker room." These are signals. They're the insiders looking at this media circus with a knowing eye roll, because they've lived the real struggle and know this fabricated drama is a distraction from the work. The fan and community reaction is a reality check. It shows a clear divide between the noisemakers and the basketball watchers. One group is selling a lie for profit. The other is living in the truth of the season, with all its real, gritty, unglamorous challenges and hopes. We've killed the lie with facts. We've seen the real reaction. Now we need a moment of meta-commentary. We have to ask, what does this whole fake saga reveal about the sickened state of sports media that allows, incentivizes, this to happen over and over again? This isn't a one-off. It's a symptom of a broken system. Let's diagnose it. First, the death of patience and process. We live in an instant gratification culture. A player is anointed generational, and the expectation is instant transformation. When the real, slow, often ugly work of building a contender unfolds, the losses, the learning curves, the roster, the media machine has no framework for that. Process doesn't trend. So it invents a crisis. It pathologizes normal development. Caitlin Clark's rookie season isn't a story of growth. To them, it's a mystery, a problem, fodder for a conspiracy theory about her happiness. The lie spreads because it's more exciting than the truth of gradual improvement. Second, the commodification of outrage. Anger, fear, and tribal warfare are the most powerful engagement engines on the internet. A level-headed take gathers a modest audience. A take that says, "Everything is wrong and here's who to blame," gathers an army. The algorithms reward it. Ad revenue follows. Therefore, creating outrage, even if it's based on a complete falsehood, is a rational business decision for many outlets and personalities. They aren't paid for accuracy, they're paid for attention. The Clark wants out lie is perfect outrage fuel. It terrifies Fever fans, energizes haters, and gives talking heads a week's worth of screaming content. Third, the lack of accountability. In the old model, a reporter who consistently got facts wrong lost credibility in their platform. In the new model, the hot take artist who gets the facts wrong but generates massive engagement gets promoted. They face no consequences. Tomorrow they'll move on to a new lie about a different player or team. The cycle never ends because the feedback loop rewards the behavior. They can claim, "I'm just asking questions," or "It's just speculation," as a shield while the damaging headline does its irreversible work. Finally, and most cynically, the underestimation of the WNBA audience. Some of this stems from a condescending belief that the WNBA and its fans don't deserve nuanced, rule-respecting analysis. That it's all just content to be mined for easy, emotional reactions. They apply the most brain-dead, tabloid NBA formulas because they don't think the WNBA's ecosystem is sophisticated enough to demand better. It's a form of media malpractice born from laziness and disrespect. This lie spread because our current media environment is a factory that manufactures fake crises for profit. It treats athletes not as human beings on a journey, but as characters in a never-ending rage-bait reality show. Until the incentives change, this will keep happening. And the real victim is the sport itself, forced to constantly play defense against narratives manufactured in bad faith. Alright, let's wrap this up and put a bow on the truth. Here's the bottom line, stripped of all the noise, the clicks, and the cynical games. Caitlin Clark is not leaving the Indiana Fever. Not now, not anytime in the foreseeable future. The narrative was a fabrication from start to finish. We proved it with 1. Her own words in a direct, on-record rebuttal. 2. The unbreakable facts of the WNBA's rookie contract scale and free agency timeline. 3. The historical precedent of every legend who came before her, building their legacy through struggle and stability. 4. The clear-eyed reaction of the actual basketball community that saw the lie for what it was. This was never about basketball. It was a case study in how the digital sports media machine works. Find a star, invent a crisis, and profit from the chaos. It's a playbook run on ignorance of the league's rules and a disrespect for the intelligence of the fans. But now you're armed. You have the context. You have the receipts. The next time you see that headline, that tweet, that video thumbnail screaming some variation of this lie, you won't get outraged. You won't click. You'll know. You'll see the machinery behind it, and you can shut it down. Your power as a viewer is in your attention and your discernment. Don't feed the beast that hurts the sport you love. So, I'm putting the call to action on you. Like this video if you're tired of the lies and want analysis rooted in facts. Subscribe for more deep dives that cut through the WNBA drama and get to the real game. And most importantly, share this truth. Be the person in the comments, in the group chat, who posts the contract details, who links to Clark's actual quote. Be a source of clarity in a sea of manufactured nonsense. You don't have to be a passive consumer of garbage takes. You can be an informed fan. The truth is right here. This is your reality check. You've been informed.